Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and I'm doing a different format today. We're going to see how well it goes. This is going to be a shorter format where I'm just going to kind of review a faction. I've chosen Weavers as the first one just because it's new and exciting, and maybe we'll just want to talk about it for about 10-15 minutes and see how well that goes. Weavers has a lot of power in it, but it's also a very finesse style faction. It wants you to run a variety of different things. It wants you to combo off a bunch of stuff, especially with its army rule mechanics of the seeds, where every time you hit something, you will seed. It has a rule where it's basically every regiment and character benefits from rampant growth, where if you do a hit in your clash or volley, you apply a seed marker up to a max of 2 on a regiment. We'll have to track this, so either dig around for a different token set or use nickels or dimes or whatever you want, get some tokens. But you are going to have to track this. Each regiment can have a max of 2, and then when you get the 2 at the start of the round, anything with, was it 2 or more on it? No, 2. Sorry, no mores. They will bloom, and when you have a bloom, you get a bloom effect depending on the season of that round. So summer, we'll start with spring. Spring, your opponent's regiments are just going to be going slower because whenever they charge, they're going to be rolling 2d6 re-rolling, but they will be choosing the lowest number. Summer, you charging them is going to be 2d6, so you're going to take the highest. Autumn, whenever you charge, you're going to get a shock. And then winter, friendly regiments in contact with that enemy regiment are going to gain dread. That's super nice. So these different abilities are pretty nice. They're pretty niche. You're going to have ways of manipulating how you do these. There's a bunch of army rules inside the regiments themselves of when this guy hits or when things bloom around target regiment or character, it then counts for that season. So you will have manipulation over this. They do have starting at turn 2, you'll go into the rotation. So turn 1, you will have whatever season your warlord is, and then it'll go from there. So if your warlord's, let's say autumn, it'll go winter, spring, summer, back to autumn. Whenever it is that season, you'll get +1 march. So there's like a ton of power just in there. There's a lot of things that in the army that are spread seed out and then consume seed. So like one of the things I want to bring up is the Glowglass Warriors. They have the Mercy of the Reaper. So it removes up to 3 seed markers from any regiments within 12. So we all know that, as stated in the army rules, you can only have 2 max on a regiment, but this one gets 3. Well, you just grab it from a different regiment. So one of the things about applying seeds I do want to bring up is that it does not get affected by impact attacks. It has to be a clash or volley. There are some things in here that just get free volleys. The Wild Hunt, this big monster, is going to have free volleys. He's going to be some crazy stuff whenever he comes out. He seems like a big stompy monster. There's a couple dragons, the Drakik or whatever. I'm not going to be very good on the names unless they're super easy. That's fine. This one I do want to talk about, the Spring Dragon. I believe this is the guy that heals. Yeah, so they immediately hit them. If you get seeds on a regiment and it hits this guy, it'll immediately bloom, and when stuff blooms around him, he's just gonna heal. He's gonna be super duper fun. He also turns into terrain. When an enemy regiment within it has seed markers bloom, he heals. So this dragon's gonna be super annoying. There's a bunch of other different ways in the faction to have things bloom around him, so he'll just heal a ton. The Healy Dragon from Spring is going to be a pain in the ass for a lot of people. I do love that, though, and I am kind of excited to run one of these because I think he's just fun. Like, he's just going to be a great guy. He is a melee dragon, though, while I believe the Coley Drake is the ranged dragon. He's just going to be getting free shots. Another one that's actually really cool in here is the Breath weapon, where it makes a volley attack against everything within its front arc that is within range. That range is, however, 8 inches, but, you just run up 14, breathe on everybody, take a bunch of barrage 9s at AP 1 with aim shot, your volley 3, so that's actually, like, pretty good. I do like him. I wouldn't be surprised if someone ran dragons for the flavor of it. It'll be just fun. But skirmishers, they're going to be fantastic for you simply because they're going to be one of your cheapest and easiest ways to apply seed markers. They count as the court of whatever they're in. If you put the spring guy or the summer guy, whatever one gives you like additional seeds when you attack with that character, you'll be just, spreading seed all over the place, getting those seed markers out. One of the more powerful supremacies I would want to say is the We'll scroll down a little bit here. The Sheed, I think this is the winter guy. But at the end of the round's victory phase, remove all the seed markers within 16 of the character and then redistribute them 16. And then you can choose to just skip through the cycle of the seasons, skip ahead to the season of your choice. So I think that's going to be really powerful. That's a really nice one, spreading your seed out, because there's going to be times where you want seed markers on stuff, but you can't actively get to them. This is going to be really easy for you. This, because of the battlefield thing, it's just going to probably go off every single time. And then, you know, when you need to have a certain season for, you know, charge distances, dread, shock, whatever, it's also going to be rich. Shock's going to be really nice, getting your clash values up when you finally go in. Battlefield, yeah, so battlefield is the character just has to be on the battlefield. I don't believe that's going to be too hard. The spells, your Sheed guy, who I believe is the winter character, we eventually get down to them. There they are. This is your wizard. You get to pick either spring, or is it spring? No, summer spells and winter spells. They are only a wizard 5. I have to be honest, I have not looked at the upgrades. Bad on me. We can just do them really quick here. 30 points for forward force. Sweet. Before the start of the round of Supremacy, you may choose not to progress the cycle. 30 points. That one's probably going to be pretty decent depending on what you're doing. Character attached ignores obscuring zonal terrain before a volley. 20 points. The Regiment. It's still, like... This faction has guns. They are not guns that are, I would say, are like... the thing about the faction. Like, it's not, you're not gonna have like mercenary crossbows, Vanguard clone infiltrators, Deso drone level of guns like coming out of spires. These guns are there to help you put some damage on and apply seed markers so that stuff can bloom, so you can have all your triggers and stuff. Because a lot of this is like, did you apply a bunch of seeds? Can you absorb those seeds? Can you transform those seeds into other stuff? When stuff seeds and it blooms, here are some other benefits you get. It's going to be a lot of that and kind of playing it out. So it's going to be a lot finessey. This is going to be a higher skill faction for a lot of people just because of the seed and the seasonal mechanic. We got the Drake Rider. You get to blah, blah, blah. You ride a Drake. In addition, you get +2 barrage and the range is increased to 10. Wow, that's fucking fantastic. That one I will do. I'm not going to lie. I look at those moths every day, and I'm probably going to do moths and dragons, because that seems really fun. Next, we have a thing that turns into cavalry, and that's Grimmer Lord is your cavalry upgrade. Always active when the regiment's character is currently attached to apply seed to an enemy regiment. The seed markers may immediately bloom. Rapid blooming, that's going to be a 20-point upgrade you're 100% going to take. Just because of whatever build you're doing, if you're doing a build that is get seeds out, or bloom stuff, you know, rapid bloom is going to be really good for blooming, to be honest. I'm not going to really go deep in there. Last upgrade, is this the last one? Yes, it is. Always active once per round, the seed markers have bloom, select one running regiment within 12 of it, all friendly regiments within 12 of it heal. That one probably is also going to be really powerful. So, a lot of these upgrades are expensive. Like, the cheapest is 20 points to 30. They're quite pricey, but they all do really solid things. I like that. All of them are a choice, and all of them are worth it in various different capacities. I think that's a good little bit of design. Sadly, there is nothing that is cheap, but not the end of the world. Okay. Regiments themselves, a lot of the stuff is not released yet, so we do not have final rules. I will state that. As per the starter box and what you're actually getting, the Moth Riders, aim shots, flying, opportunities, Pathfinder, this is very much going to be like your biker cab if you're ever playing Eldar. They're pretty quick. You are already getting that aim shot for volley 3 whenever you fly. Opportunist on volley 3 is going to be super good. You are going to be moving around a lot, like fluid formation, opportunist, and their aim shot is all saying you need to move and shoot. You do not have, fire in advance, so you need to be careful where you are shooting. So what you're first going to do is probably get to that 12-inch range, shoot, back up. You also have the sowing shot, where you immediately apply another seed marker with an 8. These guys are going to be prime dudes for spreading your seed. This is never going to get weird. Curious Skirmishers are going to be another great unit for spreading your seed. Lastly, the Guardians. Is that it? Is it only? Yeah, it's only 3 things in the starter box. Wow, look at that. The Guardians, they're a good medium brute to be honest. Like, they have a really good stat line at D3 shield for 4, unstoppable impact vanguard, relentless blows. They do have rooted might, where they'll immediately heal for every 2 C markers moved, and you can just like spread seed, heal a bunch. You are 6 wounds, so you actually have a pretty good health pool at especially D4, resolve 3, and it's a pretty good stat line to stay alive, and then spamming rooted might for the heal while spreading your seeds with your riders and your skirmishers. And then you can, if you really need the damage, you do relentless blows on 2s instead of 1. That's fine. As more things come out, I'm really curious about the Will-O-Wisp. There's a bit of me where I want to see them get played, but a lot of the time, just because of their abilities, it seems like for 100 points, they're literally just like a speed bump. They're kind of not worth it, because why spend 100 points on a Will-O-Wisp when you can get current skirmishers and just get the shots for an extra 10 points? Skirmishers are one of the most effective point costing range units in the entire game. Just a heads up, they are literally stalker stat line with 20 points cheaper. You want these. I don't even know what this does. Yes, the maidens. When whenever there's how do you explain this? Your seasonal cycle, just choose one of these effects. They're all good effects at different points. Manipulating your cycle is going to help you at various points. Like if you need the heal spring, if you need more attacks, flurry, defense, whatever you need, it'll be there for you. And they will rotate cycles. Feline Cab are really interesting. This gets into the prowl mechanic and I guess the pounce mechanic? No, not pounce. Who gives a shit about that? Prowl. Prowl is going to be simply really interesting just because it is now including like a stealth mechanic to the game. I like that they're including it in Weavers. It makes sense. You know, they're forest people. They're fused in with trees and bugs and insects and all animals and all that stuff. But this one is a movement reduction. However, enemy regiments have to be within 8 inches of you to draw line of sight. So if it's a cavalry from really far away, they gotta march. If they're still not within 8 of you, they can't see you, so they can't charge you. If they're not within 8 of you, they can't shoot you. You, however, are speed 7. You don't have unstoppable. Kind of wish there was just maybe a little bit more unstoppable onto the faction. There's some things here where I'm just like, why don't you have it there? Like, there seems to be no banners. I don't know if that's a design thing. There is a couple things I've noticed that do have unstoppable, like the Guardians, these Glass Glow Warriors, where I talked about the Mercy of the Reaper. To be honest, they seem fun. Brute Force seems to be the fun. You change how many attacks you get depending on the clash difference. They're also like kind of a decent stat line. We'll see how well they play, but lots of not unstoppable for re-rolling of charges. However, due to the seasons and due to blooming, you're going to be rolling 2d6, choosing the highest. And I initially was kind of weirded out when I saw that. Let's talk about that really quick. There we go. So, Summer Heat, roll 2d6. So in Spring's Growth, it tells the enemy regiment to roll 2d6 and pick the lowest, and any special rules to reroll, you get to reroll both. But in Summer, it doesn't do that. Well, I just found out because there's fucking no unstoppable in the faction, or very little. So it doesn't really matter. Should still have that clause in there because there is some stuff that does have it. Last thing I kind of want to talk about, Wild Hunt. Love this guy. He's huge. He's going to give some free stuff out. Like, he's going to give out one of these Wild Hunt aspects to a regiment when he dies. I do like him. He is kind of points expensive. We'll see how he kind of plays out. But we'll talk about the Wild Hunts. The Wild Hunts are like, depending on, I believe, whatever season your warlord is, you get to pick one of these guys and add them into a regiment. I'd have to double check that, so that's one of those, don't quote me on it. Command models, yeah, we don't really care that. Does it actually explain how these guys work? So I know there is Avatar of the Hunt. Here we go. If the army contains a Wild Hunt regiment, then it may not purchase a Wild Hunt or as an officer. Instead, the Wild Hunter of your choice will join the force free as described in the Wild Hunt army list entry. Kind of weird. So you can have 3 of these guys. Can be attached to a friendly non-monsters if it was a character. They don't have a command card. They don't activate on their own. Unlike other officers, they add their own stand to the regiment and have their own characteristic profile. However, officers they do not have their own class, march, or wounds character, so Wild Hunter cannot be attached to a regiment that also has a character to it. I don't know why it's black. So they're 60 points. There seems to be a thing if you join a Wild Hunt regiment. Now, I don't... Oh, what the... Oh, they cannot be joined... They cannot join if there's Wild Hunt regiment. Okay. The Wild Hunt regiment is the big monster thing that I have no idea what it looks like. See? Solving the problem already. These guys I know are kind of weird simply because of how they interact with the army and how they work. I think it was brought up to me of like, someone's probably going to do it where they're like, well, it has no wounds, but like, when does it die? Well, it dies when the command stand dies, but it's basically an officer on its own stand and has its own stats. These stats for 60 points are very good, like 6 attacks, 7 attacks, Clash 4, Volley 3, one of them has a really good gun, Barrage 7, Range 12. And they have some really good options here. 8 attacks of Flawless Strike, that's going to be really brutal. Brutal 2, Cleave 2, Impact 4. Like, they all have different roles and what they want to do. Another big thing is that they all provide an additional thing to that regiment, like the Spring guy here. Once drawbacks have resolved, the Wild Hunter currently performs his first action, immediately heal 4 wounds, and then target up to 4 different enemy regiments to apply 1 seed marker. You know, 60 points, spreading seed within 12, awesome, great. And then when a seed marker blooms within 8, it counts as spring regardless of the cycle, so you're going to get those charges. There's a bunch of fun stuff here. Wild Hunters are going to help you smooth out your seed and bloom curve and get your bonuses off. Wild Hunters, they will die when the command stand dies. They don't just sit around their own. Yeah, they don't have any wounds, but they basically just die when the command stand dies and they just take up some physical space. Don't be the guy for some weird reason trying to argue that it never dies or something, like the game goes into a computer bug loop. It's not how this works. But yeah. I like what they're doing with Weavers. I think there's some things that need to be smoothed out, though. There's just wording and stuff. However, a majority of the faction is not out, and as more things come out, they have a chance to go in and fix stuff. They did release, you know, the full PDF on a lot of this stuff, so we know that this is probably close to final rules, simply because we've also seen in the renders a lot of these minis. Like, we know what the Will-O-Wisp look like. We know what the various 2 dragons look like. Like, these are coming down the track. These are just the things that are out and have been painted. The characters are strong. They're going to be fine. Like 6 attacks, Clash 3, Cleave 1, that's going to be fine. Barrage Fry, Range 14 on Volley 3. If the aim shots on Volley 4, that's going to be good. The Wizard Lady, she's Wizard 5, what's probably really her only weakness, but between her 2 courts and her spells, she has a lot of opportunity. This thing, the Todishi, yeah, I have no idea. I'll be real honest on that. You apply seed, and then you can, you know, pick one of the courts, so he's just free courting. And, you know, you got your different gifts of life. Yeah. We talked about these. Cool. But yeah. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was quick enough. Didn't really want to go super deep or too long. Just kind of wanted to talk about it and things like I'm excited for and interesting about the faction and a bit of how it works and just kind of, you know, hit the big stuff. And we all know from BonkTable that I could literally talk forever and go super deep, but with this series, trying not to. So with that, just before 20 minutes, we're going to wrap her up. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Join the BonkTable Discord. Watch the podcast. All that stuff. Bye.